Hey guys, welcome to this introduction to version control and Git. In this lesson, we'll start with a simple question. What happens when our code changes over time? As a software projects grow, we need a reliable way to track those changes, understand what happened, collaborate with others, and recover when something goes wrong. That's where this version control comes in. We'll first understand the idea of version control and then introduce a Git, one of the most popular version control systems which we have, and finally explore the basic terminal commands that we'll be using in the Git. So let's start with the basic idea. Version control is a collection of system and processes used to manage changes made to a file over the time. Instead of simply editing a file or losing the previous version, version control keeps track of what changed. This gives us a history of our work and allows us to understand how a project has evolved. Version control can be useful for many different types of files. We can version control source code, data, configuration files, documentation, and other project files. The general rule is simple. If something changes over time or needs to be shared with others, version control can be useful. So in this course, we'll mainly focus on version control for software code. So you might have the query like, so what can this version control actually do for us? First, it allows us to track the different state of our files. We can compare one version with another and see exactly what changed and what can identify a particular version from our project history. And if changes cause a problem, we can revert back to the earlier version. These capabilities gives developers much more control over their projects. Why should we care about this version control? Think about cooking without a recipe. You might successfully prepare a great meal, but if you don't remember the ingredients or the steps you followed, reproducing exactly the same results can be difficult. So software projects are similar to that. Without version control, it can become a difficult to understand which changes produced a particular results. Version control gives us the history that helps us reproduce and understand our work. So let's look at the practical example. Imagine we are working for an e-commerce company and we have just released a new recommendation features that suggest products to customers. Unfortunately, there was a bug in the code and the website stops working correctly. Without version control, recovering the previous working mode could be a difficult because we cannot track that code. With version control, we can quickly return to the known working versions. Meanwhile, the development team can investigate the problem separately, fix that bug, test the solution, and safely release the feature again. So, how do we perform version control in practice? One of the most popular tool is Git. Git is an open source distributed version control system. It can be used for a small projects managed by a single developer or for a large and complex projects involving many developers. Its flexibility and scalability are some of the reasons Git has become so widely used in most of the companies. One of the key benefits of using Git is that it maintains the detailed history of our project. We can compare the contents of files at different point in time. We can also investigate what changed, who made the changes, and what it does and when it had happened. Most importantly, when something goes wrong, we have the ability to return to our previous versions that we know which worked correctly. This history gives us developers confidence when making any changes. A common way to work with Git is through the shell, also known as the terminal. Channel I have already shown you how to install this git bash command in your local machines. Just a small executable file, you get it. You can install that in your local machine. And this terminal allows us to interact with the computers by typing commands before we start using git command. Well, we learn few basic shell commands that are useful in our managing the version control workflows. These commands helps us find where we are, inspect the files and directories, and move between folders. You may also hear the word directory used instead of folder in the terminal. Now let's look at the most commonly used command. The first is pwd, that is print working directory or present working directory, you can say. So we can notice that if the current directory is c users underscore berry, so under that directory the terminal has been installed. So we can change the directory as well using the command cd to move to the respective folders which we want to check out or work on that repository. Here if you see we have also used the command ls. It is not, it lists the existing files in that directory. So you can see here there are different directories and a few CSVs available in that directory. Suppose if you want to move to archive, you can just type cd archive, so it moves into that folder. And to verify that, we can type present working directory as well, pwv command, so that to get the exact path where we are located. And to move ahead, revert back one level above, we can use the cd space dot dot command. It goes one level above the existing folders. And to check the versions of the Git, we have the Git command also, Git version. So currently I'm using 2.12.2. Any of the version should be fine. With the 2 point on the higher version should be good with the latest commands. So in the next sessions or next, I'll be showing you how to use it with the projects and how to revert, how to follow, push the changes to the repository through the comments. I'll be covering them in the next lessons. Thank you for watching.